The latest WHAV news, I'm Wynn Damon. The sole candidate for Haverhill School's new assistant superintendent is out, and the school committee is hoping an up to $165,000 a year salary will attract a new round of candidates before the end of the month. Talks with Maria Silva, the current business manager for Greater Lawrence Technical School, broke down during negotiations a week ago. A member of the subcommittee, Paul Magliacchetti, declined to identify specific areas of contention. But he told WHAV Friday that they couldn't come to terms on a contract and they decided to repost it. Besides Magliacchetti, Superintendent Margaret Murata sat with Silva last Monday. School committee member Scott Wood also serves on the negotiating team, but couldn't attend because of a family emergency. Wood, however, did join the full school committee last Thursday for a closed-door meeting to outline next steps. At the meeting, the school committee voted to raise the salary to between $150,000 and $165,000. Throughout the screening and interview process, Wood argued the salary offered is too low for someone to handle both business duties and oversight over personnel, food service, maintenance, and technology.
I don't think at the 120 salary to 140, if you're looking for an assistant superintendent for finance and operations, if you repost, I don't think you're going to get anything at that. I think you'll get a quality business manager at that salary.
While the school committee members unanimously named Silva to the post last month, they added a condition when they realized no one had yet conducted reference checks. The current $130,000 job of business manager is held by Brian O'Connell. At the end of January, he withdrew from contract renewal negotiations after being pressured to quit to accommodate the new school administration. He left open the possibility he will pursue legal action. And the race is officially on. Friday was the day Haverhill's longest-serving mayor, James Fiorentini, chose to formally announce his intention to run for a record 9th term in the city's top office, pulling nomination papers with city clerk Linda Kudelis. WHAV confirms Fiorentini's Friday decision to throw his hat into the ring comes 2 weeks after the city of Haverhill first allowed locals to pull papers for a municipal office. Since May 1st, Fiorentini is the 4th candidate to announce plans to run for mayor. Haverhill police officer Daniel Trocchi, Hector Montalvo, and community action employee Melanie Tamburino previously announced plans to run. Assuming all 4 candidates secure the necessary signatures, a preliminary election would take place on September with the top 2 vote-getters to meet on the ballot in November. And narcotics officers conducting surveillance in the area of Methuen-Sawyer Street observed an alleged hand-to-hand drug transaction on Tuesday, May 14th, leading to the arrest of 4 individuals, according to Chief Solomon on Friday. Police say the transaction took place when a vehicle with New Hampshire plates interacted with a Lowell-based driver behind the wheel of a Honda Accord. As a result of the investigation, police seized 14.3 grams of suspected fentanyl, a Colt 9mm handgun, a magazine with 14 9mm rounds, and $174 in cash. And Haverhill's VFW Lorraine Post 29 plans a first responders banquet on Thursday, with all proceeds going to the Haverhill Police Department. It's going to be held at DeBurrows at 887 Boston Road, and the formal affair includes a cocktail hour, dinner, and award ceremony. Tickets are $40 and available by calling 978-373-1900. In WHAV Sports, the Red Sox are meeting with the Toronto Blue Jays today at Fenway Park. Boston Bruins are going to be playing Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals a week from tonight. They'll be taking on the winner of the San Jose-St. Louis series. St. Louis can close it out with a win tomorrow night in Game 6. And the New England Revolution are going to be hosting D.C. United Saturday night at Gillette Stadium. College men's lacrosse, Merrimack is in the NCAA championship title game, and they are going to be playing Limestone for the championship Sunday afternoon at 1 at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. On the high school schedule for today, weather permitting, in boys lacrosse, Pentucket at Haverhill, North Andover at Billerica, and Georgetown at Methuen. In girls lacrosse, Pentucket at Haverhill and Methuen at Medford. In baseball, Methuen is taking on Tewksbury and North Andover plays Lowell. Those games are going to be at LeLatcher Park in Lowell, and it's going to be Portsmouth at Timberlane. Softball today has Haverhill at Lowell, Andover at North Andover, Tewksbury at Methuen, Linfield at Pentucket, and Timberlane at Portsmouth. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source, and there's always more at WHAV.net, where you can sign up for free digital news headlines. From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Wynn Damon.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Giles Gibson. Google has blocked Huawei from some updates to its Android operating system after the Trump administration blacklisted the Chinese phone manufacturer. A rocket landed near the US Embassy in Baghdad on Sunday, but caused no casualties according to Iraq's military. And Game of Thrones, the most successful TV series of all time, has aired its final episode to a decidedly mixed response from fans.
WHAV weather!
Now your WHAV weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. Heavy rain showers moving through this evening with a couple claps of thunder. Becoming mostly cleared late tonight, low 55 degrees, and winds simmer down below 10 miles per hour. Increasing clouds later on in the day Tuesday, 67 for the high. 20 mile per hour winds likely from the northwest. Tuesday night will clear out eventually, low 45. Middle 60s, pretty calm and quiet. Lots of sun for Wednesday. For WHAV, I'm nowcast meteorologist Brian Ivy. Your next WHAV weather in 30 minutes.
Sure, you're enjoying the music, but did you know you can hear comedy and drama every night? Listen to these remastered classics at 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. Only local radio can bring you this combination of news, music, and features. But only WHAV does. Broadcasting on the Armstrong FM system, this is 97.9 WHAV.
Catch the wave, WHAV, Merrimack Valley. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic. Bill Masick. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we are here for a Monday night one more time, 6:08 on this Monday night right now. Bill Masick here. And my guest for this hour is City Council President John Mitchison. John, thanks for coming on board for what will be the final show as the show goes into hiatus, at least until Labor Day. I want to mention that right up front because people tune in and they have to do things before. I don't want to mention it just at the end, but we have a couple of great guests tonight I want to tell everybody, so maybe you should or will hang around for the 2 hours. We've got City Council President John Mitchison for the first hour, and our second hour is going to be, our guest will be Brian Dempsey. Yes, the old chairman and also, of course, your state representative in many eyes. But he was chairman of Ways and Means and helped the city a lot before he went into private life. And we'll be talking to Brian in the second hour. So, John, thanks for coming on board.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
No, I wanted to have a very strong show, so I picked two people that I thought would...
Well, I'm not quite in the league of Brian Dempsey, but I'll take whatever I can get.
In your own way, you're a very strong person for the show because you are the president of the city council.
Well, thank you.
And you've been president for many years.
Yes.
Yes, and I think that's commendable.
Well, this studio is a throwback. This is fantastic sitting here. I feel like I'm at a real radio station.
Well, you are.
That's wonderful.
You are. Yes, this is a real radio station, and we also. I must say, and I say it many times when I'm talking to people, that I have such a high regard for Tim Coco, what he accomplished in getting this station on the air, and the effort and the even the money spent to get it done, and he did it. And I think we should be very proud of what Tim has accomplished with this non-profit LPFM. He has to exist in a different world. It's not commercial radio, so he has to look for people to buy memberships, which, I'm a member, and I know many people are, and he really has made a full commitment to both the on-air sound musically and also to news, which, he's like hands down the biggest news gatherer and information provider for the city. In my opinion, I don't think there's any question about that. So,
and he has a lot of integrity.
Absolutely. He always did.
Yes.
He's kind of an old, and I don't mean this for age, but he's like an old-fashioned journalist, what his training came from, and he's very strict and doesn't do bias at all. He reports it as it is. So, with that being said, at 6:11, let me say we have one other thing we have to take care of, a little bit of business. And I don't need you to wear this good old cowboy hat, John, but we're going to pick the winner of the LBD's second generation cake, which is going to be given away to somebody who has a birthday next month or an anniversary. We do that every month, and this will unfortunately be the last one we do for a while. Do you want to read the name?
Pamela Durbagosian of 3 Courier Road, Manchester, Massachusetts. How's that?
Wow, that's great.
Yes.
Wow. Super.
So this show is definitely catching on.
We're reaching out.
Yes.
Good. Well, congratulations to Pamela, and she will receive a certificate for an Albide's second generation Italian bakery. They're right in Bradford Square, and they provide super bakery products, not just cakes.
Hopefully she'll share.
Well, you know, that's up to, I don't think she'll be sharing with you or me, John, but hopefully she will, because it's a nice size cake, and I'm sure she'll enjoy it with her friends and family.
Yes.
Yes. And so that's it. So, right, as I said, the show will not be heard over the summer, on hiatus between Memorial Day and Labor Day, and then after that, the show, it's Tim's intention to bring it back. I'm also going to be utilizing that time to not be on air, but to be running my campaign. I plan sometime this week to take out my papers officially, running for re-election to the city council.
Good luck, Bill.
Thank you, John.
And
same to you.
You're the dean.
Well, thank you for saying that. That's very nice of you. It's just something I love doing, as I know you do, and I think we both put our best efforts in at all times. So, with that being said, let's talk a little bit about you, because that's why I wanted to bring you on the show.
Thank you.
You have been on the city council for many years. We don't need to get into numbers, but I think your experience is there, and you have recently been leading some things that I'm very excited about and 100% behind you, especially the municipal broadband. And is that something you'd like to touch base on for starters, or do you want to start someplace else?
No, let's start right there. First of all, over the years, I've tried to keep in touch with a lot of the telephone companies that are providing broadband and TV in the Massachusetts area. Verizon's at the top of the list. AT&T, RCN for cable, and so forth. And nobody appears to be interested in giving competition to Comcast.
Right.
And so now what we have to do is be proactive and try to go beyond the normal, the effort of trying to seek out another competitor for Comcast. So we're looking at different ways that maybe are a little bit more modern, but all of them have risk.
Right.
A lot of risk.
But the thing that really rang the bell for me was that it's a municipal broadband in the same way that we have a municipal water department, a municipal wastewater department. We have in Merrimack, they have a municipal light company, and we're actually resourcing them to help with our street lights. So there's nothing wrong with a municipality getting involved with these kind of endeavors, because down the road, it could be that everybody has a municipal broadband company. Right. And what it will do is it will provide the service at the most economical price possible, because the city isn't in it to make money. We're in it to provide the service.
Right. But a lot of people would say, is that the right kind of business for the city to be in? For example, with water and wastewater, I think, that those are very well-run departments
they are.
In the city of Haverhill.
Without question.
They do 5-year planning. They can tell you when they need to replace infrastructure, how much it's going to cost to the penny for an increase.
Their reports are always meticulous.
They do a fabulous job. There are others, though, that are concerned because, they look at the Hill Hospital and how complex that was. My guess is that the municipal broadband is much closer to the water and wastewater as far as complexity goes.
I agree.
So the way that it would work, there are several different models out there, but the city basically will pay for the fiber, and that will allow up to 1 gig of bandwidth, which is very modern, very
adequate for today,
very up to date.
Yeah,
and so I really think that there's a really good opportunity there for the city to step in to provide competition for Comcast. So it would provide the fiber, and then on top of the fiber, there would be complete competition for all the service providers.
Right.
So we're only providing the road.
Right.
And GM and Ford, they're providing the cars still.
Right.
And you have a choice what car you want.
Right.
And in some cities that have already implemented municipal broadband, they have been very successful at residents being able to go to a screen and just make the move. I want to go from this internet service provider to that one, and by the next day, it's all
done.
taken care of.
Sure.
It's done.
Yeah.
So that offers, I think, a lot of hope for having real competition in Haverhill. The real pain points that we need to look at closely. How much is it going to cost up front?
Right.
Once it gets going and people like the service, well, then now you'll have an income stream. You'll have money coming in because people will be paying for the service. But up front, we have to figure out, how much that will cost to, start building the infrastructure.
Right. And we can do that in chunks, too. We don't have to do
That's
it
right.
in total.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And there are several different vendors out there that say that they can provide this kind of a service. And I think the best approach for the city will be to send out an RFP. And let's pick the best one.
Yeah.
But I just want to caution people that it's not as they say saying a no-brainer. It's not a no-brainer. It's going to take us to be very smart and prudent and do our homework and figure out if this is the best thing for the city of Haverhill, and keep the net out there for any other alternatives. Verizon, is already putting up microcells in the city that will provide from the street to the home.
Correct.
So that's a wireless from the street to the home.
Wireless delivery from the pole to the house. Yep.
But what they're very upfront about is they have no intention of providing TV to people in Haverhill. They're really doing that to make their overall wireless connectivity higher performance, stronger, and so forth.
Right.
But not really interested in providing TV packages.
Yeah.
Which is kind of disappointing. I mean, they already have several different nodes of microcells already put up in Haverhill.
Right. I knew that. Yeah. But it's interesting. I don't know why they've made that choice, but they have.
Right.
So we have to also look at other things that we can do for our citizens and provide them with the entertainment side.
So let me put a model out there, if I may.
You know what? Can we take a short break?
Yes.
Can you hold that thought?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. We're going to take a short break for a little bit of information right here on WHAV on the Open Mic Show, and we'll be right back. I'm Bill Masick, and I have John Mitchison, president of the Haverhill City Council, with me until 7 o'clock. If you'd like to join the conversation, just call us up at 978-374-1900, and you can be part of the Open Mic Show tonight, too, right here on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic!
Bill Masick and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
Hear live and local talk with Bill Masick on the Open Mic Show. Monday evenings at 6 here on 97.9 WHAV. And see it live online at WHAV.tv and on Facebook. Your only Haverhill-based news source is The Wave. 97.9 WHAV.
Catch the wave.
Melinda's Garden Moments help gardeners create and maintain a healthy, beautiful garden with ease, inside or out, and all year long. This is Melinda Myers, inviting you to tune in every weekday morning, right here on WHAV. You'll learn creative ways to grow your own vegetables and herbs while beautifying your landscape. Eco-friendly lawn care, flower garden design basics, unique container gardens, attracting birds and butterflies to the landscape, and much more. Again, please join me weekday mornings for Melinda's Garden Moment for a very environmentally friendly approach to gardening. Remember, only local radio can bring you this feature opportunity, but only WHAV does.
Community Spotlight.
The Atkinson Congregational Church debuts monthly Wednesday night dinner parties. Members of the community are invited to monthly dinner parties free of charge on the first Wednesday night of each month, starting at 6 p.m. Overseen by Pastor Jim Thomas, the effort aims to foster connections and conversation between locals, exploring what he calls hard questions over family-style meals. The 90-minute sessions take place in Lovejoy Hall, attached to the church, at 99 Main Street, Atkinson. No advance registration is required. More information is available at atkinsonconnections.org. Submit your own nonprofit events and announcements at least 3 weeks in advance. For best results, use the online form under the Contact tab at whav.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is John Lee.
WHAV. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Masick. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back on the Open Mic Show, 623. Bill Masick here, and my guest for this first hour is City Council President John Mitchison. And we've been talking about the possibility of municipal broadband, and I cut you off so we could take a short break, but let's get back to that.
Yeah, so let's talk about a model. I'm interested in hearing what people think about this. Because one of the first things, if we do decide to go in this direction, we will be doing a survey to see how many people in the city are going to participate. Very important.
Sure is.
In order to really get this off the ground. And so one model is, as far as paying for the fiber that gets from the street to your house, I know this is going to sound like a big number, $2,500 to $3,000, but you can pay it over 20 years as a loan.
Okay.
Which brings it down into the upper teens, per month.
Right.
But, you're asked, that's a big ask for people. And so I'm really interested if anybody wants to call in.
But if they compare it to what they're paying per month for their current service, they might find that it's a big savings.
Oh, absolutely. And then after the 20 years, of course, they don't have to pay anything per month for the fiber.
Right.
For that piece. So there are a lot of advantages. I think for $100 or less, you can get broadband as well as a TV package, but it's probably not going to be, the usual TV package that we're accustomed to through Comcast or through one of the other cable providers.
Right.
It'll be streaming over your broadband over the internet.
Right.
And so what I foresee, probably sooner than you can think, within a few years, you're going to see people going to YouTube TV. I know people in Haverhill that already do that.
Yep.
I haven't done that yet.
Those
I'd like to.
Those are the cord cutters.
Those are the cord cutters.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And what's very interesting is that Comcast will actually raise the price of your broadband if you take away the TV contract.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, you have
so that's what happens when you have a monopoly.
And the triple play. Now, do you know if the municipal broadband would also be able to handle the phone service, which Comcast does?
Yes, it'll be voice over IP.
Yep. Yeah.
It'll be
Okay,
totally
so it'll be available.
internet related.
Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, it won't be
So
the
if somebody
old
wants to
system.
weigh in on this, they can start the survey tonight right here on the Open Mic Show if they want to call in and register how they feel or ask a question to get a little more information about the possibility of Haverhill creating municipal broadband for everybody as an alternative to our current Comcast. 978-374-1900 is the number to call in and speak with City Council President John Mitchison on the Open Mic Show. Now, John, the other thing that I think was discussed when we had our presentation is this will not only help with residential customers paying less in the long run,
Yes.
it would probably also be a decision-making device for people to come to Haverhill with their business.
Yes, well, Chattanooga, Tennessee, they are the front runner. They've had a municipal broadband network for must be 10 years now, and their economic development has gone through the roof.
Wow.
Because it attracts, what it does is it attracts people that are forward thinkers. They're saying, that's the kind of city that I want to be at. That's
Right.
where I want my company to be. That's where I want to live, in a city that's going to do things like that.
Yeah, and in this time, I think we need to be forward thinking. We
Yes.
can't get behind the eight ball. We got to be in front of it, and
Right.
get into the 21st century deep, because things are just happening so fast that nothing is state of the art for long anymore. So
That's right.
we should just start competing with Chattanooga and other
Yes.
people in our area before we're looking at them going, wow, we should have done it in 2020 and
Right.
now it's 2025 and everybody else around us has caught up.
And quite honestly, I think and this might be a controversial thing to say, but we're 20 years behind in both, our infrastructure, our technology infrastructure, especially for businesses.
Yeah.
And for the types of businesses that we need to come to the city. And I think down at Harbor Place is a good example of that. A lot of us are working very hard, including yourself, to try to get startup companies there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's going to take time,
Right.
because Haverhill just isn't known as a destination. But we are putting a great plan together.
Yeah, I know you and
UMass
Dugan
Lowell.
from the
Dugan
from the chamber
is doing
are
fantastic.
working hand in glove, and
Yes.
he's the right guy
Yes.
for the right time.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's got the right experience.
John, we got a call.
We do.
Yeah, Dr. Gerald Boucher is here. Jerry.
Hey, Jerry.
Gerard.
Gerard, I'm sorry.
Sir Gerard,
I just-
famous
I-
knight in France in the 1600s.
All right, I just usually like to call you Doctor.
Yeah, well, hi, Ralph, John, and Bill.
How are you?
How are you
I'm
doing?
confused about a couple of things. The first thing is Verizon, they're not involved in TV?
Well, here's the deal. Right now, as you know, they have FiOS in several cities. But that is not where they're making their big money. They're making their big money with their wireless.
Oh, right, yeah.
That smartphone that you carry around,
Right,
that you listen to,
yeah.
it is where they're making the big bucks.
Yeah, well, that was understood. Now, there's another thing about $2,500 up front for 20 years. You're talking about the young people. In 20 years, I'll be dead by then.
Well, you know what? You can pay it up front. You can pay it up front, and maybe you want to do it like over a 2 or 3 or 4 year period. I mean, there are many different ways to do it.
Yeah.
And this is only one model.
That's
You
one
know,
of the models, right?
There are
Right.
other
Oh,
models
yeah,
out
yeah.
there. With this model, the city is really going to own the fiber. There are some other companies that'll come in and they'll put the fiber in for you, but they'll still own that fiber. And so and what they'll do is they'll allow service providers to come in and provide their services on their fiber.
But then they regulate the price.
That is correct.
Right.
But you still have that.
Now, the other thing, just
Yes.
about the
Service
about the
one.
20 or 25 years, Doctor, if you break it out, as President Mitchison said, you're down to like maybe $10 to $15 a month on your bill compared to what you're paying now for internet, which is probably close to, I'm guessing, at least $40 to $80 a month, depending on your speed. So right there is an automatic saving.
The dilemma about that is if you want to change your mind within 2 or 3 years, you can't because you'll be committed.
Well, that's something that will have to be worked out.
Right.
But let me tell you how that's going to work. So the city provides the fiber, okay? But then the internet service on top of that, whether it's TV or streaming video, you can actually have real competition there. So you can pick, who you want to provide your TV, whether it's YouTube or even Comcast if they decide that they want to play.
Oh, yeah, I understand, yeah.
So there's competition there to at least drive that part of the price down. So the only part that, the city is really going to be responsible for is providing the road, the fiber.
Right. Where can all this information be obtained if someone...
Well, it's so premature. Nothing's formulated yet.
Oh, nothing yet.
Right.
No.
Tomorrow night, Wednesday night, the Planning and Development Committee is meeting with one of the vendors that claims they can provide us with a fiber. So, if you happen to be around 6 o'clock in the City Council office on Wednesday night.
That's right.
And then I think we're going to have to really start taking a serious look at, what are the steps that we need to do to verify that this is the right thing for Haverhill.
Right. That's right. Now, let me just mention one thing, Doctor. If you didn't have, say, water services in front of your home and you had a well, and if the city decides that it wants to put water now down your street, there's always been something called a betterment charge.
Yes.
And in a similar way, putting fiber in the street or on the poles would be also a betterment to your home.
Yes.
So the city, if it puts water down your street, can actually assess you for the cost of that service for whatever your road frontage is and give you a long-time payment plan on it.
That's right.
It would be similar to that.
Very similar.
With the fiber.
Yes. And again,
any of those representatives approach City Council meeting?
Say that. I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question.
Has any of those company representatives approach the City Council?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
We've already had 2.
All right, I thought so, yeah.
And the second one is going to be Wednesday night.
Doing a presentation Wednesday night. If you can make it to the council office, Doctor, you'd probably really get a better understanding of what they're proposing.
I think the bottom line is that we're going to probably need to put out a request for proposal and leave it wide open.
Right.
And see what we get for proposals.
Right.
There might be another way to do this that we don't even know about.
That's true, yeah.
So, we have several different paths to take here. We can still try to get, another company like Verizon to come in, although they won't. But some other company like that to provide competition.
Right. Doctor, we have to take a break, so I appreciate you calling in. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
All right.
John and Bill.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening and your phone call.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. This is WHAV's Open Mic. I'm Bill Masick, your host. And this hour, we're talking with City Council President John Mitchison on the Open Mic. It's 6:35 right now. You still have 25 minutes to call in at 978-374-1900 right here on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic!
Bill Masick and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
It's 6:35.
WHAV is on Facebook, on air, 24/7, and online all the time. This is 97.9.
Catch Catch the wave.
When the Haverhill School Committee meets, 97.9 WHAV FM is there live from Haverhill City Hall. Class sizes, special education, teacher hiring, and spending are among the topics covered Thursday nights at 7 when the school committee is in session. Presented as a public service from 97.9 WHAV FM.
Wave weather.
Now your wave weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. Heavy rain showers moving through this evening with a couple claps of thunder. Becoming mostly cleared late tonight, low 55 degrees, and winds simmer down below 10 miles per hour. Increasing clouds later on in the day Tuesday, 67 for the high, 20 mile per hour winds likely from the northwest. Tuesday night will clear out eventually, low 45, middle 60s, pretty calm and quiet, lots of sun for Wednesday. For WHAV, I'm nowcast meteorologist Brian Ivy. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Masick. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back on the Open Mic Show, 6:37. Bill Masick here with our guest for this hour, City Council President John Mitchison, and we're talking about municipal broadband. And I understand that we have a caller on the line that would like to maybe ask a question or comment on municipal broadband. Hello, Brian.
Hello, Bill.
How are you?
Hello, John.
And how are you?
Good.
Good.
I'm really interested in seeing some competition come in. You know, I've been a DSL subscriber for many years.
Oh, you have? So you're close enough, then, to the central office.
Well, yeah.
For
but,
Verizon.
You know, they don't maintain the whole wiring system over this way. They really don't care about it. And reluctantly, I'm a customer anyway. I'm wondering about if your average user is going to be confused by all this and what Comcast is going to do to kind of talk people into staying with Comcast, you know, kind of like these so-called electricity vendors. I think it's going to be very confusing for folks. It's already confusing. It's going to get worse.
That's a very good point. We will have to somehow prepare ourselves for that. If we do move forward with this, you know, we should take precautions and make sure that we get the information out there, you know, clearly to everybody so that they know, you know, what their real choices are.
Uh-huh.
And I think that we'll be able to get it smoothed out and make it as simple as possible. So I don't think it's going to require somebody to go to school to learn what they can select. I think that, you know, it'll get figured out. I think people, as John mentioned earlier, there are people who are already figuring out alternatives, and this will just be a competitive alternative. I don't think we're looking to come out to take on Comcast and take them down.
Right.
It's just creating an alternative so that people can judge where they want to be.
Well, I'll be expecting a media blitz from them when more and more communities decide to go this route.
Well, it's already happening.
Yeah, it is.
It's already happening. A lot of the cable providers and the telecom providers are approaching states, not so much at the federal level yet, and trying to put limits on municipal networks. That's when you know, right, that they're concerned about it. That they're trying to take action to put some kind of stipulation on municipal networks. So I think you're absolutely right that they're going to do that, and they've already started to try to limit, you know, this option from, you know, different states.
And they've got the money to or kind of get their way too, you know.
Sooner or later, but you know they may try, but you know I think also it may be hard to really hold this down. I think it's really the coming wave for the future is municipal broadband. As John has mentioned, Chattanooga, doing it for 10 years, and look at how they've grown, look at how they've prospered, and we want to create that alternative. It doesn't mean that Comcast will be no longer. It just means that there'll be a competitor in town, just like we've tried to get Verizon to come to town.
Right.
Right.
But the main difference is that Comcast is a for-profit company.
Right.
But municipal broadband will be a not-for-profit company.
For the fiber piece.
Right, for the fiber piece.
And
right.
then on top of that, for the TV,
You
for the
select-
streaming, you have real competition there.
Right.
If you have a municipal broadband, right, you'll be able to pick and choose, who you want to provide your TV.
There are people doing that now.
Right.
Yes.
That's right. So that will
Netflix,
still remain the
YouTube, and
same.
all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it would be a good thing if we can afford to get into the game. I think it will pay off in the long run.
Yeah, and there are other risks too, and I think another one that's kind of interesting is that the technology is changing so quickly. And by the time you finally, if you're going to go the fiber route or you go wireless, 5G won't solve the problem right now. But 5 or 10 years down the road, there might be something wireless that will solve all the problems. And so then you have to rethink again. So it's you really have to stay on top of it.
And like Corporal Boucher said,
Corporal, doctor,
the doctor,
the doctor.
Corporal. He's corporal. I'm lieutenant. We'll keep
We're
it
not
that
going there, Brian.
No. But in like 20 years, I don't even know if I'm going to be around anymore. So,
But
I'm
that's
almost as old as Corporal Boucher.
whether you're paying Comcast or whether you're paying for municipal. I think the fee will just for you, the next person in your home will just kind of just take over where you left off. But I hope you're around for a long time, Brian.
Yes.
We appreciate
Yes.
your phone calls
I'll
here on
do
the
my
open
best.
mic.
I just had to get that in on my friend Jerry.
No, it's the same thing with people that put solar on their roofs. They take long-term contracts on those, and if they sell their house, then it just gets transferred to the new owner.
Yes.
So there's a lot of different things going on, and it doesn't get any simpler though. Usually,
Right.
It usually gets a little more complicated or a little more thought process required, but it can make a lot of sense.
311 operators answering a lot
That's
of
it.
these questions.
That's it. Call 311. They are wonderful.
There you
Anyway,
go.
If anybody has a question about the city, 311 has the
There you
answer.
go.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for
gentlemen.
calling in. All right, Brian.
Good evening.
Okay, we'll talk to you again. I do want to mention that next hour, former representative and chairman of Ways and Means, right here in this studio, Brian Dempsey will be here as our guest, and that'll be in the 7 o'clock hour. I'm Bill Masick. I've been the host of the Open Mic Show for quite a while, but we're going to be taking a hiatus for the summer between Memorial Day and Labor Day, and I'm going to be gearing up my re-election campaign to run for city council. And John, have you got your papers out?
I do.
You do, right?
I
So
do.
you're running for re-election
I
too.
am.
I think we
Yes.
have a really strong city council. So
Well-
I'm wishing all of my colleagues great success.
And we have to go out there and work hard.
Absolutely. There's always some newcomer that's trying to take one of us out.
Yes.
All right. Okay. It's 6:45 right now, so let's take our last break, and we'll come back and we'll shift gears and talk about some of the other bullet points you gave me.
Okay.
All right?
Sounds good.
All right. This is the Open Mic Show on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Bill Masick and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
Last year, WHAV helped 10,000 nonprofits by broadcasting community spotlight messages. Tell WHAV, and everybody will hear about it on your local WAVE, 97.9 FM, and online all the time at WHAV.net. Did you know radio still reaches more than 93% of people of every age, every week? It's a fact. 97.9 WHAV, Merrimack Valley audience averages 93% of everyone. As other media cuts back, folks in our area are turning to 97.9 WHAV for local news, information, and the best music anywhere. And 97.9 WHAV listeners know our business messages are more credible, more trustworthy than other advertising. Learn how 97.9 WHAV connects your business with more people than all other local media combined. Call 978-374-1900, 374-1900, or online anytime at whav.net.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Masick. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back on the Open Mic, 647. Bill Masick, along with my guest for this hour, City Council President John Mitchison. And, John, one of the things that I think you're definitely on the cutting edge for is trying to find economic development for the city. And we can talk about that, but let's take a call.
All right.
Because callers get impatient. If you let them on hold too long, they hang up. We don't want to lose our callers because they were nice enough to call in. 978-374-1900 is the number. And caller, what would you like to discuss with our guest, City Council President, John Mitchison?
I've just retired from high tech on Friday afternoon.
Well, congratulations on your retirement.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of, but a couple of things. I have a couple of comments. I know we've gone down this route before, way back the cyber district, and then we wound up being like the last community in Massachusetts, in Eastern Mass, to have broadband on the internet. We were one of the last. I had a freaky DSL service for a while, and it was to the point where I almost had to move out of town so I could work, because I've been working at home for the last 10, 12, 15 years. And I do have two concerns about us getting involved municipally as a municipal broadband company. I think some other cities have tried it and failed. But the problem that I see with it is it might discourage other businesses from coming here because, if you get a viable business and get your foot in the door and have a good situation, the city's going to come up with some artificial means to compete against you. And that might be sending a little bit of a message we might not want to send.
Do you mean other cable? Do you mean other cable?
No, other businesses. What would happen?
So you're saying because Comcast,
a roller skating rink, and the city decided we're going to build one too. I mean, this is the type of thing.
So is this where you're saying that because Comcast is here and they're a for-profit company and they're very successful, that now the city might get into municipal broadband? But
right.
Well, I don't.
And they might not invest in it.
I don't think that's the reason why we're doing it. As I said earlier, we're not looking to take Comcast down, but we have been trying to bring in another for-profit company such as Verizon or RCN or one of the other providers.
But they won't come here because two reasons. The geography of the city makes it extremely difficult for them to wire up.
That's one.
I remember attending the cable. And number two, we're not that wealthy of a town.
Well, the Comcast billing certainly means you got to have some kind of wealth to pay that bill, and I think that I think we would be doing a justice for our citizens if we were to provide some alternative to at least make them a little more competitive in what they charge for their services.
I don't disagree with you. I'd like to see the competitiveness, but I don't want to. I'm wondering if my tax dollars are backing this competition. I'm wondering. I have to strongly question it, and that's an area that has been.
Well, I don't think we intend for the tax dollars to really be backing it. Part of the model would be to have it pay for itself almost from the very beginning, as starting in little blocks as we move forward. And
if it doesn't,
Well, if it
But
doesn't,
if it
we
doesn't?
didn't. I don't. You know what? I don't think it would be a problem. I really think this could be very successful.
Right now, we should be out there looking for any type of solution, which is exactly what I've been trying to do, and the city is now trying to do. And so, throw out, a wide net and put an RFP out there, and let's see what kind of proposals there are for the city.
Yeah.
The fact that the municipal broadband will keep out any other cable company.
It will.
The problem is that we've got so many years of experience, and the downside of having a single provider in the city is really very cost prohibitive. I don't think you like the service that you get all the time.
I don't mind it. It's not bad. But I choose to buy it. I mean, if I wanted to cut down, I have AT&T. I mean, Verizon Wireless and AT&T for my international, because some members of my family were, AT&T employees. And as far as my cable, if I want to cut the cable, I can choose to do so. But I'm in the position now where I don't mind paying for what I'm getting, but I would like to see some alternatives, and I think there are other means to pressure Verizon to reduce costs.
Well,
other than, then again,
Verizon or Comcast?
Huh?
You mean
I mean Comcast.
Comcast.
Yes. But you've got to remember, a lot of the pressures on these cable companies, the reason the rates are going up isn't necessarily the greed of the cable company. It's the greed of the programming suppliers that's doing it.
But municipal broadband wouldn't be involved in that.
Well, it isn't so much Verizon, they're ripping you off, but the services that you buy, ESPN, even affiliates, network affiliates, charge the cable company, and they have to pass that along in order to remain profitable. So that's where the pressure, and if you have a municipal broadband for cable and decide to go into competition for cable, I'm not saying broadband, but for cable, they're going to pay those same fees too.
We're not going to get involved in that. As John said earlier, all we're looking to provide is the highway, and then depending on what you want to put on that highway, be it a Mercedes or be it a Chevrolet, that's your choice.
Right, but I think a lot of his points are valid, and that's why, as I said earlier, it's not a no-brainer.
Right.
By any means
I
whatsoever.
agree.
There are so many factors out there, few of which we can control, like the technology itself is changing so fast. And, we're just going to, try to do the best we can. But one thing I know for sure is that a lot of people in Haverhill are not happy having basically a single provider. There are some alternatives for certain situations, but people are very disappointed.
Right.
Right, they are.
Right.
But I think I think the warning I'm trying to give is if people want a replacement for Comcast for television, they're still going to have to pay.
Oh, yeah.
And if you do programming, the programming suppliers, which is not Comcast, that's ABC, ESPN, Disney, CBS, Viacom, NBC, they are the ones who are providing the content, and they are the ones getting the bulk of the money.
Right, but it's also Apple and Hulu. There's a lot of new players.
Yeah, a lot of those things, you pay for them.
Right,
Now,
you do.
Absolutely.
You do, for about
and
40...
You will still pay for them if you pull it in via broadband. You will still pay for it.
So yes.
No, we said that. We agree.
Right, so in Haverhill, for example... go ahead, I'm sorry.
And then the other thing I didn't want to hold it too long, but you said you're trying to get creative spaces in Harbor Place. And I've worked, and I know in the greater Boston area, where the action is 128, Boston, Cambridge, and of late Somerville. Okay?
Yep.
How are we going to compete? And there are shortages of people, high-tech people who work in these things. How are we going to compete with those areas?
Right.
Because I'm going to tell you the truth. Downtown Haverhill is not a hip place for millennials. Okay.
Of course it
we
isn't.
have to admit that.
No,
Unless
we're
you
20.
do
We're 20.
something to convert it.
We're 20 years
it's not there.
behind. We're 20 years behind. We've had a one-person economic development, very good guy, Bill Pillsbury, but a one-person, one full-time person looking into all the possibilities out there for the city is not a very good equation. What we have been doing, though, are real pilots. And, for example, Lightspeed Manufacturing in Haverhill, we had a competition, a challenge in Haverhill a few years ago that brought in startups. And it turns out that Lightspeed is now providing the manufacturing for several of those startup companies. That, I think, is the model that's better suited for Haverhill, that we find our way into advanced manufacturing.
Right. To bring the manufacturing here, and they can still have their 128 or Boston office.
No, you're not going to compete against that. I was down at Kendall Square just a couple of weeks ago, and they're building up. Pretty soon they're going to be touching the moon. They're so compact down there with innovative people. There's no way you can compete, but they can't build stuff there. It's too expensive. So developing a partnership with those smart, let's call them the smart people, right, so that we can build their products, I think is pretty viable. And like I said, we ran a pilot, and it was successful. It's not conclusive. If I was a scientist, I wouldn't say that, that experiment was, 100% conclusive, but it did demonstrate that, that was a very good, that's a very good approach for Haverhill. Have the advanced manufacturing here, and partner with all the innovative companies in Boston. As you said, Route 128. I've been working on Route 128 for 30 years. Unfortunately, I wish I could find a job in Haverhill.
But I think that's the point, is that we're not looking to bring in the whole company to Haverhill, but the advanced manufacturing portion. And I think it's a great model to try to follow.
And then you try to throw a lot of other things against the wall, right? I know that you were probably taking a shot at me there earlier on the question of the cyber district. But you know what? I had the gumption, right, to say, guess what? Let's take a chance here. And we actually had 17 very small companies in the downtown area, and I think there are only one or two that survived when the whole thing went sour in, I think, was it 2001, 2002?
Yeah.
But we've been trying other things, and by the way, cyber is still in the mix. It's still in the mix.
Right. But those are the ones you have to lure away from Somerville or Cambridge, because companies locate in those locales.
Yes. But sometimes, especially new companies,
Waltham, that to get the kids coming out of.
Yeah, sometimes the new companies need to go by the cost per square foot, not by the location, and those are the ones maybe we can attract to Haverhill. We're going to run out of time. We got to wrap it up. Thank you for your phone call, and thanks for listening.
Thank you for your insights.
And good luck with your retirement. I hope you can enjoy it.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. All right, John Mitchison, City Council President, running for re-election to the Haverhill City Council. Thank you for coming in.
Mr. Dean of the Council.
Thank you, Mr. President. And we're going to take a break. It is coming up on 7 o'clock. This is the Open Mic Show. I'm Bill Masick. It's one more hour, and then I get a summer break as I start up my campaign for re-election to the City Council, because the Open Mic Show will be on hiatus from Memorial Day to Labor Day. But we'll be right back for our last hour with our special guest, former representative and the chairman of Ways and Means, Brian Dempsey, right here and only on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic!
Bill Masick and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
It's 7 o'clock.
WHAV LP Haverhill.
Here's the latest WHAV news. I'm Wynn Damon. The race is officially on. Friday, May 17th, was the day Haverhill's longest-serving mayor, James Fiorentini, chose to formally announce his intention to run for a record 9th term in the city's top office. Pulling nomination papers, WHAV confirms. Fiorentini's Friday decision to throw his hat into the ring comes 2 weeks after the city of Haverhill first allowed locals to pull papers for municipal office. Since May 1st, Fiorentini is the 4th candidate to announce plans to run for mayor. Haverhill police officer Daniel Trocchi, Hector Montalvo, and community action employee Melanie Tamburino previously announcing plans to run. Assuming all 4 candidates secure the necessary 50 signatures to appear on the ballot by July 1st, a preliminary election takes place in September, with the top 2 vote-getters meeting in November. And the sole candidate for Haverhill School's new assistant superintendent is out, and the school committee is hoping an up to $165,000 yearly salary will attract a new round of candidates before the end of the month. Talks with Maria Silva, the current business manager for Greater Lawrence Technical School, broke down during negotiations a week ago. A member of the subcommittee, Paul Magliacchetti, declined to identify specific areas of contention. Besides Magliacchetti, Superintendent Margaret Murata sat with Silva last Monday. School committee member Scott Wood also serves on the negotiating team but couldn't attend because of a family emergency. Wood, however, did join the full school committee last Thursday for a closed-door meeting to outline next steps. At the meeting, the school committee voted to raise the salary to between $150,000 and $165,000. Throughout the screening and interview process, Wood argued the salary offered is too low for someone to handle both business duties and oversight over personnel, food service, maintenance, and technology.
I don't think at the 120 salary to 140, if you're looking for an assistant superintendent for finance and operations, if you repost, I don't think you're going to get anything at that. I think you'll get a quality business manager at that salary.
While the school committee members unanimously named Silva to the post last month, they added a condition when they realized no one had yet conducted reference checks. And a graduating Haverhill High School senior was awarded at least $2,000 to help him study law this fall. Sean O'Leary was awarded the Haverhill Education Association Scholarship during the union's annual dinner last Wednesday. And a 26-year-old Methuen man faces up to 20 years in prison and a potential $1 million fine for his role in an alleged cocaine conspiracy, a federal judge ruling last week. Cesar Rodriguez San Quentin was charged May 14th with 1 count of conspiracy to distribute and possess with intent to distribute cocaine, 1 year after police began investigating him and 2 Boston men for allegedly trafficking large quantities of narcotics throughout the state. Luis Alfredo Baez and Luis Mejia Guerrero were also charged in connection with the crime. According to court documents, Rodriguez San Quentin was allegedly on his way to deliver over 1 kilogram of cocaine to Baez at the time of his arrest this month. As a result of the investigation and the 3 arrests, cell phones, materials to package drugs for street sales, digital scales, and $68,000 in cash were seized, according to officials. Rodriguez San Quentin faces up to 20 years in prison, a minimum of 3 years supervised release, and a fine of $1 million, according to the Department of Justice. WHAV Sports, the Red Sox take on the Blue Jays today. And the Bruins are going to be playing Game 1 of their Stanley Cup Finals a week from tonight. They'll be taking on the winner of the San Jose-St. Louis series. St. Louis can close out the series with a win tomorrow night in Game 6. College men's lacrosse, Merrimack is in the NCAA championship title game following Saturday's 15-14 overtime win over Lemoyne. The Merrimack Warriors will be playing Limestone for the championship Sunday at 1 at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source, and there's always more at WHAV.net, where you can sign up for free digital news headlines. From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Wynn Damon.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Giles Gibson. Google has blocked Huawei from some updates to its Android operating system after the Trump administration blacklisted the Chinese phone manufacturer. A rocket landed near the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad on Sunday, but caused no casualties according to Iraq's military. And Game of Thrones, the most successful TV series of all time, has aired its final episode to a decidedly mixed response from fans.
Wave weather!
Now your wave weather forecast for Haverhill in the Merrimack Valley. Heavy rain showers moving through this evening with a couple claps of thunder. Becoming mostly clear late tonight, low 55 degrees, and winds simmer down below 10 miles per hour. Increasing clouds later on in the day Tuesday, 67 for the high, 20 mile per hour winds likely from the northwest. Tuesday night will clear out eventually, low 45, middle 60s, pretty calm and quiet, lots of sun for Wednesday. For WHAV, I'm nowcast meteorologist Brian Ivy. Your next WAVE weather in 30 minutes.
Boston stations aren't tuned into the Merrimack Valley, but you are. 97.9 FM has your local WAVE weather around the clock. Keep it here on 97.9 FM, WHAV. Broadcasting on the Armstrong FM system. This is 97.9 WHAV.
Catch the wave, WHAV, Merrimack Valley. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Masick. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back for the 7 o'clock hour on the Open Mic Show. And this will be the last hour until after Labor Day, because the show is going to go on hiatus from Memorial Day to Labor Day, so that you have time to be out in your backyard and in the pool or barbecuing or mowing the grass and not have to worry about missing the show. So that's what's going on. Now, my special guest this hour is our former representative and chairman of Ways and Means, Brian Dempsey. Brian, thank you very much for coming in tonight. It is an honor that you are sitting here with me.
Well, it's my honor. I'll say counselor to be official.
Yeah.
But thank you, Bill, so much for the invitation. It's great to be on. I'm a little out of practice. It's been a little while, as you know. But
you'll never be out of practice.
But great to be on, and thanks for doing the show. You've done a terrific job during your tenure here. I know there's a little hiatus coming up. Tim Coco's done such a great job.
He certainly has.
With this station, and it's a real asset to the city of Haverhill.
Yeah, it really provides a lot of news and information that doesn't get out any other way, and Tim just kind of is always scratching for something new and something that's important to the people of the city.
It's phenomenal, and you and I are old enough to remember going on House Street and the old Bill Pike on the Open Mic Show, and Bill did a terrific job. So I think Haverhill is lucky that that's continuing with your work and with Tim's work, and it's great to have constituents able to call in, listen, be part of the community.
Yeah.
So it's fun to be
I think
on.
so. I used to say, Haverhill had a political pulse when we had the Open Mic with Bill Pike for 5 nights a week.
That's right.
Now we're only 1 night a week, but I'm trying to create that political pulse and keep it beating.
That's right.
For the city of Haverhill. It's so important that people are kind of involved and concerned and weigh in.
That's right.
You know, phone calls are so important. If somebody wants to ask you a question, would you be willing to take calls tonight?
Absolutely. Be happy to.
978-374-1900 is the number to call if you'd like to say hi to, Brian Dempsey right here on the Open Mic Show.
I only take easy questions now, though.
No, we're not going to hit you with any trick questions or anything. I'm not, at least, but I can't speak for the callers. But
that's fun.
Anyway, 978-374-1900. This is the Open Mic Show. We are here until 8 o'clock tonight with Chairman Dempsey. People still call you Chairman, right? I mean, once you earn that title, I think it's your title.
You do. And it's interesting. When I had some guests from Haverhill in years ago that won a tour of the State House and were walking down the hallway, and people would say, Mr. Chairman, how are you, Mr. Chairman? And, of course, they'd laugh. And I said, listen, that's only in the building. And they started sending all their mail to me with Mr. Chairman, but I do get it occasionally. I'm in the State House a lot these days, and I still get it from my former colleagues and staff and the like. So it's always nice.
We appreciate everything that you did when you were our representative / chairman, and your expertise, can't be challenged as to what you accomplished for our city.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, what are you doing now? Can we start there? Can we start with?
I'd love to say,
right.
let me just say, it was a great honor to serve. And I loved being rep for 27 years. It was terrific. I enjoyed all of it. And you and I started on the city council.
We did.
You were the experience councilor.
I had a couple of years. I had 2 years. I was looking at the pictures in the hallway the other day to see you were there for 4 years.
4 years, and I loved it. And and you were a great mentor, which I appreciated. And we had a great council.
Yeah.
We have a great council today. It was a different council back then, and you just remember, I remember all of them. And for an experience, it was just a tremendous experience and a great place to learn.
It was.
And that experience was very important as I went to the State House. So always appreciated learning from my colleagues on the city council. It was a great experience.
Well, thank you for mentioning that I might have been part of that, but I was kind of a young guy back then too. When I run for re-election now, I jokingly say that's the one thing I don't hear anymore. You know what that is? You're such a nice young man.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It all changes. Now it's all about experience.
Yeah, it does. But, I really love serving the city, and I'm looking forward to starting my campaign when the show goes on hiatus because of FCC regulations, too, that, I couldn't continue. But I hope to be back after November.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, you've done a great job on the council for so many years, and you have such a diverse professional background that it's been a real asset.
Yeah, thank you. And it's really an honor when Council President Mitchison says you're the dean.
Yes,
that's nice.
It is nice.
I mean, the last dean was actually George Deakian.
Yeah,
he was the last
right.
one that
George,
for whatever reason, had that title.
Right.
And that's an honor for somebody to call me the dean of the council.
Well, Mr. Dean, that's great.
Yeah, okay, Mr. Chairman.
That's great.
All right. I think people would probably wonder, where's Brian been? What have you been doing?
Well, it'll be 2 years in July that I resigned from the House. I received a tremendous opportunity to go into the private sector as a chief operating officer for a lobbying firm in Beacon Hill.
Right.
I enjoyed that for a year and decided to go out on my own and started my own firm last year with a couple of former colleagues that worked with me at Ways and Means, former staff. So it's great. We're off and running. We have a number of clients, healthcare, energy, economic development. And, it's interesting, Bill. I think, folks will think about lobbying as trying to get something in a budget or trying to move a bill. And that certainly is the case, but it's also more today strategic advice, and it's more government relations and more trying to guide certain projects along. One of the things that I've worked on over the last year, I spent a lot of time on the merger of the Beth Israel Deaconess healthcare system with Leahy Health. Anna Jakes was part of that. There were 13 hospitals that came together and really kind of helped provide some strategic advice on getting that done to create a new system,
right,
which is exciting. So involved in projects like that now, which are, kind of compensate for not being elected and dealing with public policy as much as I did.
But you're still involved with making things happen and as you say, educating the elected officials as to why they should probably consider going a certain way.
That's right. And it's trying to provide, it's interesting, as you can appreciate, folks who are in the business world but may not have a full appreciation of how government moves along and the process and procedures. So it's really providing that kind of expertise to lead a project or to lead an issue to get a successful outcome. And a lot of it is that guidance. And of course, having been there for so long, I certainly, can kind of make recommendations based on how I would view it as an elected official.
Well, nothing beats experience.
That's right.
And you do have a diverse background. I remember you were chair of, before you went on to Ways and Means, you were chair of communications, was it? Or what was the official title?
I had a few interesting assignments, telecom, utilities, energy.
That was it.
And in that one, we worked on the Green Communities Act and, helped co-author that. And then moved to economic development where I helped co-author the gaming legislation for casinos. So very interesting, diverse in areas that in a million years, if you asked me 25 years ago, would I be involved in those things?
Right.
I'd be like, well, no. But, your interests develop, and you develop a little bit of an expertise because a speaker or folks ask you to take on an assignment. And
Right.
you have to learn the issue because they're putting their faith in you.
Now, speaking of gaming, it just came out that Wynn casinos are talking to MGM.
Yes.
But probably part of what you actually fabricated was that the state only allows for one gaming license per company for the state.
That's right.
How do you think that'll shake out?
This is fascinating. Of course, there were issues that the Gaming Commission looked at. Those seem to be resolved with respect to Encore and Wynn. And I think during that time, it appears that there were conversations between MGM and Wynn. I was curious about this over the weekend, and I was looking up. MGM's revenue is about $9.6 billion. Wynn is a little under $5 billion, so it's a larger company.
Right.
If you look at the market of Greater Boston, and it's interesting, when we put out our original bill to do gaming in the House, the very first effort, we didn't have territories assigned because we wanted the market to determine the best location for the casinos. And I think there's no doubt that the Greater Boston market is just such a stronger market.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is because when you talk to folks, Boston is we're an international destination because of our schools and because of healthcare. And what I learned over the last few years is that since the time we passed gaming, there are so many more direct flights coming into Logan from Asia that there's a sense that the projections that folks would make on the Massachusetts market, particularly Boston, would go up by 10 or 15% because you have so much more ease in coming into the Massachusetts. And the ability for these large operators to cross-market to their international sites in Macau and the like. So it's fascinating. But we did contemplate some of this, and I think clearly the idea was you can't have a company coming in and buying up the licenses.
Right.
So there's a whole process they'll have to go through if, in fact, it comes to fruition.
Right. Now, I also just heard, unfortunately, that MGM actually may lay off up to 235 people because they aren't doing as well as they hoped they would in Springfield. So that also might give them stability. Like you said, they're still like a $9 billion company, but for Massachusetts and for their commitment to making it work in Massachusetts, it might make more sense for them to have the two locations to kind of run the mass books so that they're making a little more money with Boston included.
That's a good point, and I think so. It is interesting when you look at when Encore opens in a couple of weeks, you're going to see 5,000 people employed. You had thousands of construction workers employed. You have a $2.6 billion investment over there. Interestingly enough, and a lot of people may or may not know this, but that piece of land in Everett was a contaminated site that would have never gotten cleaned up were it not for gaming because it cost in excess of $60 million. So, and the same is true of, to a lesser extent of Springfield. Look, you're creating jobs, you're creating kind of a venue, there's activity, but it's a question of, the strength of the market.
Right. Now, I was out at a Mass Municipal Council event about three weeks ago on a weekend, and it was being held at the Springfield MGM. It's a really nice facility, but I didn't get the feeling that it was doing a lot of business like other casinos I've been in. You could just feel that the population, in a sense, was down on the weekend. So I can understand why they really have to probably look at how they're operating. But it's a nice, very unique the way it's laid out.
Sure.
Everything. For somebody to run a small convention out there, I could see it fits right in.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it probably needs to go. It probably needs to become certainly
a destination for conventions.
And certainly out that way. There are times in Boston now where this is one of those weeks in Boston, as you know, where there are all kinds of graduations. It's tough to get a hotel room.
Right.
And if you get a hotel room, it's in excess of $800.
You're paying.
So you're paying. So I think Everett will do really well.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
And there's a demand for additional hotel space.
It's interesting, though, that's the Wynn design from Las Vegas, the building itself.
That's right.
And it says Encore up there, just like the one in Vegas. It's going to be different to look up there on that kind of peak and see MGM.
It would be really
That
different.
would be
right?
a first.
It would be a
Yeah,
first. It's
yeah.
fascinating that this is
It is.
happening. So we will see how that shakes out. But they issued a joint statement indicating that it's real.
It's real. Yeah, they just got to
so we'll see how
see
it
if they can
develops,
get to
yeah.
the finish line.
Yeah, fascinating.
Hey, we got to take a short break, Brian. We'll be right back here on the Open Mic Show. My guest for this hour is our former representative and chairman of Ways and Means, Brian Dempsey, right here on the Open Mic Show on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Bill Basic and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
WHAV is on Facebook, on air 24/7 and online all the time. This is 97.9 FM, WHAV.
That we deliberate and achieve with wisdom and understanding, recognizing the rights of all of our citizens with full regard for the dignity and justice of the individual.
Each week, WHAV News brings you live gavel-to-gavel coverage of the Haverhill City Council. Listen to 97.9 WHAV FM each Tuesday night at 7 when the City Council is in session from the Theodore A. Pelosi Jr. City Council Chambers in City Hall. Presented as a public service from 97.9 WHAV FM.
Community Spotlight.
The Atkinson Congregational Church debuts monthly Wednesday night dinner parties. Members of the community are invited to monthly dinner parties free of charge on the first Wednesday night of each month, starting at 6 p.m. Overseen by Pastor Jim Thomas, the effort aims to foster connections and conversation between locals, exploring what he calls hard questions over family-style meals. The 90-minute sessions take place in Lovejoy Hall, attached to the church, at 99 Main Street, Atkinson. No advance registration is required. More information is available at atkinsonconnections.org. Submit your own nonprofit events and announcements at least 3 weeks in advance. For best results, use the online form under the Contact tab at whav.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is John Lee.
WHAV. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Masick. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back on the Open Mic Show. Bill Masick with our guest until 8 o'clock. City Councilor, State Representative, Chairman of Ways and Means. You held all those titles.
Yes, I did. I did.
And now you're private citizen.
Private citizen.
Brian Dempsey.
Still live in Haverhill.
We'll always remember you, and you still live in Haverhill, and you're still the best.
Thank you.
All right. Brian, we were talking about gaming, and then you mentioned a few other things.
Yeah, the next iteration of that will be sports betting. The Supreme Court made a decision last year and will legalize sports betting. So you're seeing states around the country move forward with that. Massachusetts is looking at that carefully now. And it's interesting, when we did casinos, you knew that would bring in about $300 million plus, and that's the projections.
Yeah.
Our friends, and I should do a shout out to Representative Vargas and Senator DeZoglio and Chair Campbell and Rep Minicucci and Rep Lenny Mera. You've got a great delegation.
We do,
and they're all friends. And they're going to do They're doing a great job, and they're, I know, looking carefully at sports betting. The difference this time around is you're talking about $35 million in projected revenue. So it's not, you have a $42-43 billion budget.
Right.
So it's not a huge number for the Commonwealth. So I think what I'm hearing from our great delegation and hearing from others in the legislature is they really want to get this done right. There's not a rush to go out and put together something that they're going to have to go back and fix. Rhode Island has had to go back.
Right, has it, right? They started.
They have it.
But it's not
They didn't
quite
do
right?
mobile. And you really need to do mobile. And I have clients in this, so I'm not, full disclosure, I'm representing some folks. But, mobile is important to make it successful for the Commonwealth.
Sure.
So I think you'll see them be very thoughtful in their approach and come up with something that that works for the Commonwealth.
And works right. Now, where do we stand with scratch tickets? We used to be the biggest scratch ticket state in the country, I think.
It's amazing. We continue to have, and I was over at a conference the other day at the convention center, a gaming conference, and we continue to have one of the most successful lotteries in the country, despite the maturity, to your point, of the lottery. Our lottery's been around for a very, very long time, so it's very mature. But we continue to see the largest spending per capita of any state in the country. The average spend per year is about $750, which is much higher than what you see in other states. So we're looking at gaming. The concern was, well, what's going to happen to the lottery?
Right.
Fortunately, we built in cross-marketing requirements. So if you walk into the MGM casino in Springfield, there's lottery products, and they have to sell those. They're required to market the lottery. But we continue to question to have about 50 or 60 different scratch tickets.
Yeah.
Keno has become very, very popular, and it continues to thrive. I think they're going through, they're at a point in time when they're assessing, can we go online? Should we be online? How do you get to the millennials?
Yeah.
Are there vending machine opportunities? I think you'll see pilot programs and other things in which you can go into a CVS and there's a vending machine. You can purchase scratch tickets. I think you'll see that kind of thing.
I've seen those. I think New Hampshire has them.
Yeah, they probably do. So I think the pressure, they do a great job. Mike Sweeney, who is the director of the lottery, who is from Lawrence, has done an extraordinary job with Treasurer Goldberg. And they're continuing to be as innovative as they can. And I think as you know, cities and towns rely on the lottery for local aid.
Well, you go into most of our convenience stores, and if you have like a 10 or a 20 and you're only spending $2, if you don't take your change in scratch tickets, they look at you funny.
Yeah, that's right.
What do you mean you don't?
That's right. That's right. Well, when we were having the casino debate, I remember people get up and said, we can't have gambling in Massachusetts. And I remember going to the microphone. If you walk into the corner store, they're already doing it. I mean, people go into the corner store today.
And Keno's big.
Keno's
big, yeah.
They sit there with a coffee, and every 2 minutes, you can place a bet. So, but it is interesting, the evolution of all of this.
Yeah. Once in a while, I'll go in with a scratch ticket. Like if I at Christmas time or somebody gave me a scratch ticket and I won on it, I'll go in to get my money back, and then they really look at you funny. You don't want more tickets?
That's right. That's right. And I probably am like most people. When the lottery, when the number's very big, you go out and you buy a few tickets and hope for the best. And but we know how that goes.
But I know we're still.
We know the ending of that story.
Right, we're still working. All right. Bill Masick here on the Open Mic Show, along with my guest, Brian Dempsey. The name, I think, speaks for itself. We don't need to put chairman or any of that stuff, because everybody knows Brian.
That's right.
It's just like Bill Masick, right?
Sure.
Hopefully everybody knows me.
That's right.
Matter of fact, I'm going to be changing my voter registration to Bill Masick, so that I'm going to be Bill Masick on the ballot. They now allow for that.
I think that's a great idea. Everyone knows you as Bill Masick, and, for listeners who don't remember that the first time Councilor Masick ran for office, he was the very last name on the ballot.
Yes.
And that was his slogan, last name on the ballot, but the first name to vote for. And that was actually a question on one of my history tests as a senior at Haverhill High School.
Yeah.
Who was the candidate that came up with that? And we all wrote Bill Masick.
There you go. I mean, marketing is part of, kind of in my blood.
That's right.
Part of my life. So with my days in radio.
That's right.
All about marketing. And that's what, what you got to do to be remembered and to stick out. So
well, it's so different today too, Bill. I mean, when we were doing it early on in the
you didn't have many choices.
In the 90s, you would we all had wooden signs.
Right.
We all did a lot of advertising in the Haverhill Gazette, which was a daily paper, the Eagle Tribune.
Or competitive
You were
paper.
way ahead of the curve on radio because you understood that. But you'd do that, you'd stand in front of the supermarket, you'd stand in front of the post office. And now today, social media has taken on a life of its own.
Yes, yeah.
And it's a whole different world.
So you just gotta keep moving forward. It's
right.
splintered more. There's so many other things you need to do compared to what you just mentioned. Used to be the good old fashioned campaign.
That's right.
Now it's you got to add more to it.
Direct mail
right.
is very, very important.
Yeah, you got to do so many things. But
all those things.
But I think the other thing that's important is hopefully people like what you're doing.
That's
because,
right. That's right.
I'm very happy that Haverhill doesn't have term limits.
That's right.
Otherwise, I would. I'm the poster boy for not having term limits.
Yeah.
Because the education, the knowledge, and I'm not saying I'm better than any of the other counselors, but you bring things forward, just like you were speaking about, even in all the things you've done when you were an elected official, that gives you a broader perspective on how to deal with things.
Well, think about, there's one that comes to mind. You were very involved with the master plan years ago.
Right.
And now I think we're doing another one.
They're doing another one,
So
yeah.
think about the perspective that you bring to that. You've been through it once. And that's
zoning. I was involved with one of the big zoning changes, and that one is still in the pipeline. I'm on that committee, and we need to bring it forward because a master plan is important, but it has no teeth. It's just a vision, and like a concept of where we should go. Whereas zoning is really the rules of the road.
That's right.
And I hope that we can get that out of the pipeline in the not too distant future, because we're close to being at the finish line. We met for years, literally, and it's a great committee, great consultant, Mark Bobrowski, who he's like the czar of zoning in Massachusetts.
That's right, he is.
Yeah,
That's right.
and so we have a pretty interesting product, and I hope we can get it out of the pipeline.
But they're not easy, and it's complicated.
No,
it's
that's right.
There's a lot to it. You've got to consider the use in every particular zone, and so that experience you bring is huge. So that's
thank you.
You're right.
Thank you. You know what? It's that time. Let's take a short break now before we jump to another topic, because it's 7:30 right here on the Open Mic Show. Bill Masick along with Brian Dempsey. We'll be right back after these few words.
Open Mic!
Bill Masick and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
It's 7:32.
Boston stations aren't tuned into the Merrimack Valley, but you are. 97.9 WHAV has your local wave weather around the clock. Keep it on 97.9 WHAV. Did you know radio still reaches more than 93% of people of every age, every week? It's a fact. 97.9 WHAV Merrimack Valley audience averages 93% of everyone. As other media cuts back, folks in our area are turning to 97.9 WHAV for local news, information, and the best music anywhere. And 97.9 WHAV listeners know our business messages are more credible, more trustworthy than other advertising. Learn how 97.9 WHAV connects your business with more people than all other local media combined. Call 978-374-1900, 374-1900, or online anytime at WHAV.net.
Wave weather!
Now your wave weather forecast for Haverhill in the Merrimack Valley. Heavy rain showers moving through this evening with a couple claps of thunder. Becoming mostly cleared late tonight, low 55 degrees, and winds simmer down below 10 miles per hour. Increasing clouds later on in the day Tuesday, 67 for the high. 20 mile per hour winds likely from the northwest. Tuesday night will clear out eventually, low 45. Middle 60s, pretty calm and quiet. Lots of sun for Wednesday. For WHAV, I'm nowcast meteorologist Brian Ivy. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
Catch the wave, WHAV. Open Mic!
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Masick. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Okay, we are back on the Open Mic Show and moving right along here. At 8 o'clock, we're going to be shutting this little puppy down until after Labor Day next in the fall. We'll just call it that.
Right.
From
Summer
Memorial
recess.
Day to Labor Day, yes. We're going to take a summer recess on the Open Mic Show. So this is your last half hour to call in, 978-374-1900, and speak with Brian Dempsey, our former representative and then chairman of Ways and Means, and he was prior to that a city councilor way back when, and just a life of politics, and then he got out of it, and now he's running your own lobbying firm, right?
Correct, yes.
But lobbying people think that it's a bad thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah, it's amazing when it's interesting because this would come up as a question when I was a rep from time to time early on. And you say, well, do you know the MSPCA has a lobbyist? I mean, firefighters have a lobbyist. I mean, it's teachers have a lobbyist. So it's really providing,
education and guidance.
And, I'm fortunate to have, a good group of clients. And everyone has their, and it's just trying to, continue to move things forward.
Right, right.
Most importantly, so.
Yeah, and I would think with your background, you know a lot of people, you know a lot of the ways things happen. So I think you're probably good at it, right?
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so, Bill. Otherwise, we'll see. No, it's been a great experience, and there is an adjustment to being on the other side.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, it's a little bit funny to go in and meet with the new chair of Ways and Means and make a case for funding for a client, and then at the end of the meeting, he chuckled and said, "We'll take a hard look at it." Something I used to say all the time.
One of your lines.
Yeah, one of my lines. And I said, "You can't use my line on me," So there's a little bit of that going on, which is kind of funny.
Isn't it funny?
Yeah.
But and you're still living in the same house.
Same house,
just like I am still living in my same house. We love Haverhill.
We love Haverhill. We love Haverhill. I've always loved Haverhill. It's proud to be from Haverhill, and can't imagine living anywhere else.
Nor can I.
Family's still here, and it's great, and so it's nice.
Yeah. We were both born here, and
That's right.
we're probably both going to die here, but
Yeah,
probably not for a long time, we hope.
That's right. We hope. Well, I did go for a walk this morning. I'm trying to get some exercise.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm in need of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. My doctor told me I should join a gym. I joined it 3 years ago, and he said, "Hey, how come you're not doing any better?" And I said, "Well, I joined the gym like you told me." He said, "You have to go too."
Yeah, that's right. See, that's the problem with
that's
this.
the difference. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Only kidding. Yeah, I love that old joke.
That's good.
Yeah. All right. This is the Open Mic Show, and we're here until 8 o'clock, 978-374-1900. And you can dial us up on your cell phone. If you're driving, you can still do that in Massachusetts for a little bit longer.
That's right.
That's going to change.
It will change. It's legislation that has been kicking around a long time. And I think there are a certain period of time where, the legislature, and I certainly was part of that, didn't want to get into that. I think today, given, earphones.
The technology,
that's
in the dash.
It really is. I actually prefer now to have the earbuds in one of them anyway when I'm driving. It's just easier. So I think it's more convenient today. And clearly, it's
safer.
Yeah, it's safer.
Without question.
So, again, I think our delegation, looks carefully at the issues, and I'm sure they'll make.
No, that's something that are there lobbyists for that particular cause?
Not necessarily.
No?
There could be, on the other side, it's maybe some of the providers who just want to make sure that the technology is required.
Yeah,
or something
remember we used to have Mothers Against Drunk Driving. You never hear of them anymore.
No, you don't. You don't. And I think now it's
How about Mothers Against Driving and Texting?
Well, it's right. I still drive into Boston every day, and it's just distract driving and all that stuff. But
there's so much of it too. I mean, it's just amazing. The cell phone is such an addictive device.
Is. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So they'll look at that. I think they're like I mentioned, they're sports betting. They're looking at carefully. Healthcare, energy continues to be a very big issue. I know you look carefully at the Green Communities Act. I think Haverhill recently has become part of that.
We got involved.
It's amazing what that has done in terms of making Massachusetts the most efficient state in the country. And now what's happening, which, folks may not fully appreciate, is there's huge developments with offshore wind in Massachusetts now.
Right.
We passed legislation in 2016. Rep. Vargas, Chair Lyndon Dean Campbell, Senator DeZoglio, all of them worked to advance offshore wind just a year or so ago again. And you now have companies from all over the world who are looking at Massachusetts as a very significant area to develop offshore wind. The federal government put out 3 lease opportunities last December. And you can go in, and companies competed to get the rights to lease that land with the idea that they'll go in and bid to do offshore wind. You saw 2 companies emerge and bid over $200 million for those. You had 19 companies that actually pre-qualified to bid, which shows you the level of interest that's happening in Massachusetts. And, the numbers that have come in the first round indicate that both offshore wind and hydro are going to be very low cost, much lower than anyone had anticipated. So
now, what about Cape Wind? Did that ever take off?
It didn't. And here's what happened with Cape Wind. Cape Wind was, if you go back and look, it was about 25 cents a kilowatt. It was expensive.
It was.
So when we passed in 2016 this new version, we actually put language in that kind of capped the price, and it exceeded all expectations. So now you're talking about they're coming in at like 7, 8, 9 cents.
That's better.
Versus that 25. So you're not only going to get clean fuel, the clean energy rather. You're going to get clean energy that is not that expensive either. So I think Massachusetts is moving in a very good direction there, and it hasn't emerged as a huge story yet, but it will, because clearly, the way our water is and the depth of the water and the winds make for a good opportunity for Massachusetts to do really well here.
That's great to hear. Yeah, because it helps our economy.
It really does.
Yeah.
We still need other things. You need a mix, but it clearly will help.
We're one of the biggest in solar as not
That's
that
right.
big of a state.
That's right. It's, again, part of green communities. It really took off. There's a lot of expansion. You see a lot of sites, and we have one on Hilldale that National Grid is involved with that, capitalizes on those parcels that you just can't use for anything else.
Right. Well, and that was a dirty site, too.
It was a dirty site. I remember years ago.
It had the tank on it. Remember
that's right.
the
And
tank?
I think you and I talked about trying to create a park or something there.
Right.
And you just couldn't go near it
Couldn't
because
do
of
much,
the contamination. So, you're taking these sites that otherwise would be vacant and you're turning it into a solar farm. It gives a little bit more, into the grid,
Right.
which is great.
Right. Now, do you think that the Trump tariffs will affect solar costs? Because a lot of the actual solar panels are being manufactured in China.
I think they will, and it's
It would
clearly,
be unfortunate.
It's clearly a concern. I think even if you talk locally of development that's happening that involves steel, buildings that I think were contemplated a year or two ago that perhaps are on the stages of being developed are more expensive today because of the tariffs. So the cost of steel is up, construction's up. You hear it. I'm doing some work in economic development. You're hearing it from developers. It's an issue. The hope is they work out some kind of a deal. I think Canada and Mexico, those were resolved last night or the night before, and hopefully the China piece will
also resolve.
Yeah, that's the hope. But you are seeing the cost as an issue.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. We can only hope. But I got a feeling we have a little more leverage. We sell them. No, we take more than 4 times as many gazillions of dollars worth of product than they take from us.
That's right. And I think we're seeing this, and I think in the end, you're right. There'll be some kind of a deal.
At some point, they're going to have to.
That's right.
They're going to feel the pressure on their end, and even though we may be getting a little bit of a wince on our end.
That's right.
I think it'll get worked out.
Exactly.
Let's hope so.
That's right.
All right.
Absolutely.
But you know, I'm only in local government, and you're out of it now.
I'm out of it,
So
yeah.
all
So
we
we're
can,
just hoping.
We're just hoping. We can't do anything about
That's
it.
right.
But anyway, talking to Brian Dempsey this hour, and we have about 17 minutes left on the Open Mic Show. We hope to hear from you, too. We have time for you to call in at 978-374-1900. And before we get into another topic, Brian, let's take a little quick break. It'll be our final break this hour, and we'll be right back on the Open Mic Show on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Bill Basic and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
On air and online, 97.9 WHAV is at your service. Every hour, you're up to the minute with exclusive local news and wave weather, special Merrimack Valley features, public service announcements, classic radio theater, and the best 60s, 70s, and 80s music anywhere. You're hearing Haverhill's news source, The Wave, 97.9 WHAV FM.
Catch the wave.
When the Haverhill School Committee meets, 97.9 WHAV FM is there live from Haverhill City Hall. Class sizes, special education, teacher hiring, and spending are among the topics covered Thursday nights at 7 when the school committee is in session. Presented as a public service from 97.9 WHAV FM.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Masick. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back. Now we're in the fourth turn, Brian, heading for the finish line.
Here we go.
8 o'clock. It's 15 minutes away. We can do it. I'm sure we can do it. We can talk it out.
Doing all right.
Yeah, we're doing fine. I just want to mention that this is the last, not the last forever Open Mic Show, but we're going to be shutting it down for the summer hiatus between Memorial Day and Labor Day, and then after Labor Day, Tim's going to bring somebody in because I'll still be running for re-election, I hope, into the final in November.
You will.
All right.
You will.
And so I have to stay off the air due to FCC regulations, so that there's no benefit, extra benefit, no bias here. And Tim is making sure of that. But, you know, I'm talking about the fact that I'm going to be running because we had, like, Kenny Quimby on for a half an hour talking about his campaign. So it's okay if I do this.
Right.
But I'm not campaigning, really. Just stating the facts that we're going to be shutting it down for the summer.
Sure.
And people can then go away and not worry about missing it or anything like that.
That's great. Well, it's a great show, and I'm glad you're coming back after the election because this
I look forward to it.
It's a huge value to the city. You know, again, you know, we love politics in Haverhill. And
we do.
Haverhill is a very active community, and to give folks the opportunity to call in and chat and just to listen too, even if they're not calling.
And to hear the information.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's huge. You know, to have you had Council President Mitchinson on, did a great job, and it's all very informative for the community.
Yeah, I try to book it with things that are of interest and people that are of interest. So I think we've done a good job over for the last year and a half.
It's a great public service. Great public service.
It's been a lot of fun. Always a lot of fun. Radio's my game.
That's right.
You know, it's my kind of my hobby, but
That's right.
I've made a living at it too.
That's right, which is good
for
to know.
many
Yeah,
years.
right.
But I also do other things and.
Absolutely.
I've always said I should have a hat rack beside my desk.
You have done a number of things.
I'm an
for your
attorney.
career, yeah.
I run radio stations.
fascinating.
I've done real estate. I've done city council. I mean,
Probably the most fascinating resume on the council.
My accountant says I should write a book.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have time to write a book. That's the problem. But I don't know if I'm that interesting either. But anyway, so the Dempsey family's doing well?
Everybody's great, thankfully, and we're busy. My oldest is getting married in October.
Oh, congratulations!
So that's very exciting. And
won't be long. We'll be able to call you Gramps.
Well, that just happened with my other son 2 months ago,
Okay.
3 months ago now. So
All right,
that's happening
congratulations.
too.
Yeah.
And my daughter is still at home So,
but you don't get any older. You,
I
you
feel-
still look like the young Brian Dempsey.
I've got to start. I got to exercise, Bill. But but no, thank you. So everybody's great, and thankfully, and
Good. Your wife's doing fine.
Wife's
and
doing great, and
everybody- good.
It is funny. You'll laugh that my oldest is marrying his fiancee is Taylor Early, who is the granddaughter of Dot Early.
No kidding.
So you have two. You have
two parties.
You have
connecting.
two parties connecting. Dottie, of course, is a great Republican State Committee woman for so many years. So it's kind of funny that's happening, but it's great. They're a great couple.
Well, they should only talk about local politics, which are nonpartisan.
That's
so,
right.
so then they don't have to worry about the D's and the R's.
That's right. So that's Ryan, and Tyler just had Carson Michael 3 months ago. So that's fun. Fun to be out in the neighborhood with a little
Congratulations.
baby. Thank you.
Kids are great.
And Brittany and Julie are doing great. So,
Excellent.
yeah, thank
Good.
you. Yeah,
Good.
Thank you.
Well,
And
good.
your family's good?
We're good. Yeah,
That's great.
we're good. And my boys one went to Vermont, one went to California, but they're doing well. And
that's great.
So we have to travel to see our kids,
Wow.
but we have our first grandchild in Vermont.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great. Gramps. I can call you Gramps too.
Yeah, you can call me Gramps too. Yeah. So
That's
but life is grand, and that's why I don't ever see myself really ever wanting to stop. I think if you retire, you kind of get stale.
Well, a friend of mine is the former Attorney General Frank Bellotti,
Sure.
who is 96 years old.
Is he that old?
And he still works out twice a day. He still practices law. He works with Arbella Insurance as one of their attorneys. So it's funny, and I see him, and I feel like I need to do better because he's out and about at the age of 96, just in terrific health. So it's amazing.
Yeah, good. That's a great story. Yeah. All right, we're talking to Brian Dempsey. It is 10 minutes till 8 on the Open Mic Show. You can still call in 978-374-1900. Our producer, Chris, will be picking up the phone, and we'll put you right through. So what else is going on, Brian? What else would you like to
Haverhill
just
continues
talk
to,
about?
I think, do well. I know the mayor, Mayor Fiorentini, continues to work hard. He's taken out his nomination papers again, and he's doing great. You go downtown, there continues to be a lot of excitement. Certainly Harbor Place, and now, the Lapoli building. The Heights, which will bring Northern Essex Community College to downtown Haverhill. So there's a real sense of excitement that continues.
Right, and they're going to do a culinary arts program.
They are.
Which is really great location for that.
Great location, yeah. It's. I think we'll do very, very well. It was important. I was involved. Certainly in that before I left, and just so important to try to bring the schools to downtown Haverhill.
Yeah, we got
We've talked about that
UMass,
for years.
and
that's right.
And now we're going to have Northern Essex.
Yeah, so it's exciting to see that, and all of you working together.
I think we've really turned a corner almost in the last couple 3 years, because I do feel that we're really finally surging into the 21st century, just like we were talking about municipal broadband.
That's right.
And trying to get kind of ahead of the curve on where things are going.
That's right.
And trying to keep the city vibrant. But just when you think what else can happen, I think we may have run out of things that are going to happen here. Somebody else shows up.
It's amazing the level of interest. You hear it. I was with former Secretary Jay Ash the other day, and we were chatting about gateway communities,
Right.
and the need for market rate housing, how they turn the corner, all of those things. So, but it is interesting. There's, people continue to look for those opportunities.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it with, additional housing down there. So it'll be interesting to see how it all.
That's one of my things. I think, being a Haverhill taxpayer my whole life with real estate since a young age, I think that we still are a bargain compared to the communities around us, but it's gone up. And I think it's really important that we do everything possible to keep the residential tax rate as low as possible.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you were very much involved with this. And I remember, one of the first things as a state rep, trying to get funding, working with Senator Jajuga for that train station downtown. And it took several years. Ted Pelosi was the mayor, Joe Bevilacqua was economic development. We all came together to figure out how do you get that train station. And lo and behold, it actually has paid dividends through decades.
It has.
To stimulate an interest in developing downtown. And it was, you know, again, having that team that had just a great vision to say this is something that can be a catalyst, and it's proven to be the case. So all of us working together through the years on all that.
Well, that's why I think it's important we also have good public transportation and availability of other things, taxis, Uber, you know, all those kind of ways to get around, because I think more and more people can't afford or don't want to even be bothered with owning their own car.
It's so true, and you see it. You know, you see it today more than ever, and I think the convenience factor is huge. You know, certainly in the Boston area, it's huge, and here I think more and more. So.
Yeah, and I just think that that's another place that Haverhill really is doing its part. We can probably do better in days and years to come, but I think we need to be cognizant of those changes.
That's right.
Where people aren't going to own a car, but we have to provide the infrastructure for them to get around and to do things, and to also provide for what's in the downtown area.
That's right.
I remember when the first building was being built, the Walnut Street building,
Oh, yeah.
the Cordovan.
Yeah.
And I remember one, I don't know if it was the architect or who it was that said it, but he said, you're beginning to build a village, a downtown village. This is just a start.
That's right.
And as more and more housing comes downtown, there will be more and more resources for those people, so that when they get home, and if they want to go out to eat, if they want to go to the convenience store in Washington Square now, you know, all the services will develop around the housing.
That's right.
Like a village.
That's right.
And it's really
amazing.
happening. Yeah.
That was Beacon Communities. They still own it.
That's right.
They came in, and that led to, great developer, by the way, and that led to Forest City coming in behind them.
Correct.
And purchasing 4 additional buildings. So it has created this, as you point out, the vision of a village.
And we're almost full.
Yeah.
You know, we've got the Haverhill Music Center to be done, but
That's right.
I hear they're right on the precipice of getting started.
That's great.
They did sell the people that got the original permit, but you know, I think that's going to start to happen this year.
That's great.
And you know, Chen Building is going to be done
that's
before you
moving
know
forward.
it,
That's
which
great.
is, you know, so most of the big stuff is gone. The old Tulas is being done right
yeah.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So I
right.
mean,
A lot of
the
activity.
infill is almost there, so it's great what
It
we
is
have
great.
downtown.
It's exciting to see.
And downtown is exciting. Washington Street, you know, Wingate Street, Granite Street,
right.
that whole area is a little thriving area.
That's
where
right.
people can just. We got a sign being held up here. Okay, we got a call on hold, so we're going to take that call. I'm going to shut up because we're getting close to the 8 o'clock hour. So let's take a quick call. Hello, caller.
Yeah, Dr. Boucher again.
Hey, Dr. Boucher, how are you?
All right, how you doing, Brian?
Doctor, how are you?
Brian, this is Jerry Boucher.
Yes, great to hear your voice, Jerry. How have you been?
All right, you're still busy, huh?
Still busy, but yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I want to just clarify something. Downtown train station. What do you consider a train station downtown? Where is that?
It's right above Mark's Deli.
Yeah, that's a roof with poles holding it up. That's not a station.
Well, it's actually worked for us.
It's a train stop without question.
You know,
It's a train stop, not a station.
Well, that's I understand what you're saying. In Jerry,
You
what's
can't buy a ticket there.
well, what's interesting about that is it was because we already had a Bradford train station.
Yeah.
It was very, very challenging to get a second one in the city of Haverhill.
Second stop, yeah.
And, you know, I think that certainly, and I think, you know, again, at the time, Mayor Pelosi working on this, that really has been a catalyst to attract developers to downtown because they're advertising the train stop.
Are they going to put a building there eventually? Or?
I don't know, Jerry, but that's a great question for
the MBTA.
Yeah.
They have a big parking lot. They could certainly put a building there and still have plenty of room to park.
Yeah, because there's a big difference between a train stop and a train station.
Well, okay. You know where you get your ticket, though, Jerry? You just get on the train, and then they sell you a ticket while you're moving.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah, but that's true. Then the train is the station.
Okay. Jerry, thanks for your call.
Hey, Brian, all right. Have a good one, Brian.
Take care, Jerry.
Yeah, thank you, pal. All right, Bill. Have a good one.
Yep, we'll talk to you soon. Okay. All right, what a great guy he is. He's
Yes,
got a great
yes.
sense of humor and
Oh, he
great
does.
personality.
Absolutely.
Dr. Boucher, as we call him. Well, Brian, we are starting to close in on 8 o'clock, so
Great to be
anything
here.
special you would like to say?
No, listen,
any
thank you.
shout-outs? Or?
I will just say, thank you for having me as a guest. Great to be on. As I mentioned earlier, it was an honor and a privilege to represent Haverhill for 27 years as state rep and another 4 on the city council, 1 concurrent, but so 30 years elected, and I loved it all and appreciate it. And again, I think Rep. Vargas and the delegation are working hard and doing a great job. So it's great to come on in a non-political capacity.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's been great to have you on. A very special guest to wind up this season. As I said, we're going to take a break for those just maybe joining us. We're taking a break on the open mic. There'll be no open mic until right after Labor Day. And I'm going to be throwing my hat into the political ring. It's already there, but I'm going to run for re-election to the city council because I love serving
You've done
my
a great
city.
job. You've done a great job.
Thank you. And hopefully I'll be back as soon as the election's over and handing the mic to me again one more time to run the open mic show. That's what the boss seems to think will be happening. So it's been great to be here. You know, we didn't really cover as much ground as I thought we would. So maybe I'll have to have you back as my first guest when I come back in November.
I have an every 2-year rule now.
All right.
No, happy to come back anytime.
All right, thanks.
Bill.
All right,
This is great.
we've been talking with Brian Dempsey. I'm Bill Masick. It's been a pleasure. I'll be back right here on the Open Mic Show sooner or later on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Join Bill Masick live on the Open Mic Show again next Monday night at 6. The opinions expressed on the Open Mic Show are not necessarily those of 97.9 WHAV FM, its underwriters, or affiliated stations. The Open Mic Show came to you from the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom.